Yeah. So how can homeowners, right, fasten, like expedite the building permit process? And what common mistake should they avoid during the application?
Great, great question. So most of it we kind of discussed already. My suggestion is for you homeowners out there, and it's not in our interest just to get all the work in the world, but really my suggestion is to hire a competent consultant, not to try and not
here.
to try and
It's right here.
avoid. Thank you. Yes, not to try and avoid that by cutting costs and or getting a cheaper consultant
Right.
and or trying to do things yourself. I know it's allowed. It is allowed. But there is a reason why we're out there. There is a reason why good companies like ours, I hope we are. Some
definitely
people
we
say
are.
we are, right?
Yeah, definitely we are.
So there is a reason why many companies like ours are there on the market,
Right.
because that's our job. You're not gonna go if you have court if you're going to court for any offense. You're not gonna go without defense. You know, when you have a professional prosecutor sitting against you, you're just not gonna do that,
Right.
Because you're gonna lose. You need a lawyer. You need a defense team, right?
Right.
It's common sense. Not always just because you were blamed, meaning you are guilty. So this is the same thing. I always explain we are the lawyers for construction,
Right.
for architecture, right? The team in our company, their job, well, the design team, their job is literally just to know the bylaws, just to know the building codes,
Right.
just to know what to advise to clients to make sure that, you know, again, if you're building a house and you bought a property and you're paying mortgage, it's just common sense. First, faster you get the permits, faster you start the build, less you pay empty money for the mortgage.
Yeah, reasonable.
Right?
Right.
So with that being said, to avoid issues is first of all, to get the right consultants. And second of all, to understand that when you're approaching building permits,
Yeah.
you should approach them as a businessman. And the reason I'm saying that is if you approach them as a homeowner, let's try save a certain penny,
Right.
you're going to lose it later in construction. So, and I will give you an example.
Okay.
You can get a small designer. Of course, it's going to take them longer to get you a permit. Of course, you lost 3-4 months in construction, okay, in payments. Okay, but they're still cheaper. So maybe you lost a couple of grand, not a big deal, not a big deal. But then also this person maybe is not as experienced when it comes to structural aspects.
Right.
So if you need a beam in your home, I can propose a beam that costs X amount of money. They will propose a beam with lack of experience that costs more.
Right.
Now, you as a homeowner, you will never know that. But paying somebody experienced 15-20% more for permits for the applications, you need to understand permits, it's a contract between you, the city, and the contractor.
Right.
Right? Everything as per these permits needs to be built. So the last thing you want is somebody creating a design for you without knowledge that will cost you in construction 20-30% extra than what an experienced person could propose. You have structural design, you have mechanical design, you have architectural design, you have mechanical is plumbing and HVAC. So all those aspects, when they are done by a professional who knows what they're proposing,
Which they have the better resources
exactly, they save you a lot more money.
than, like those
And then you're thinking,
amateur designer, right?
yeah,
Because
and then
lack
you're
of resources.
Yeah, you're thinking,
Definitely.
okay, X designer cost $6,000, let's
Right.
say for a small project.
Okay.
Y designer cost $8,000. But then X designer with the $6,000 will propose construction design that will cost $30,000. And Y designer will propose the same kind of construction with different materials, with different equipment, with different strategies,
Right.
$20,000. So you paid 4, 3, whatever, 2,000 less, you lost 10 in construction. And you will never know because eventually contractors quote as per what they see. So
Right.
you know, when I'm getting a contractor, when I'm getting drawings for a quote from my clients, I'm looking at it. I'm gonna quote everything as per the drawings. So if this drawing is done, for example, if somebody sends us for interior renovation,
Okay.
and on the drawing there's a beam, a steel beam, big steel beam, we need like 6 to 8 people,
To,
and you've seen it not too
yeah.
long ago. We need like
the
6
last
to 8
months.
people to elevate it.
Yeah.
But it could be designed with a wood beam where you would need 2 to 3 people to elevate. And wood beam would cost you $800 in materials
Yeah.
versus steel cost you $2,500 in materials. Now you're spending thousands of dollars and you don't even know that. You're spending thousands of dollars literally on the beam, which is the material. You're spending on the labor,
Like more people
which is the
too.
installation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't even know that. So it's difficult to explain homeowners that it's kind of they're telling you, well, yeah, how do I know that? But it's a fact. It's a fact. You get, they would think, oh, you are a more organized, bigger company. This is a one-man operation. He will do it for cheaper.
Right.
Of course it will. But this one-man operation will give you a set of drawings that will cost you more. And then you will hire a contractor. And this contractor will work based on not the best set of drawings, which now increase your construction by a couple of more months.
Right.
And all of a sudden you lost like 5 to 6 months of construction.
So basically, like running back and forth between drawing contractors like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then company that would charge a little bit more would save you this 5-6 months in construction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which would save you much more money. So unfortunately, what I'm saying is when you are applying for building permits, look at it from the perspective of business. The idea is you have to have the base so that it gives you the biggest return on investment.
Right.
In construction, faster you do things,
Right.
more money you make, and or don't lose.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's very important.
So, yeah, like that's about us.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, that's about us. So, just like Max just mentioned, you need to hire a competent and more experienced, the construction design consultant firm, which is ours. So, yeah, right?
Thank you for that. Thank you for
this
advertising.
whole conclusion.
But overall, yes, this is what we would suggest. It's unfortunately the opposite from what the average Joe would think. That's what would save for today's more money. Podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for another awesome conversation. You can check out our next video for a preview of what's coming up. Also, if you're a designer, a contractor, or just someone in the construction industry with a passion to share, we're inviting you to join us on this show. Come share your voice, your ideas, and let's make something awesome together. We'll catch you on the next one. And until then, back to work.